The televised courtroom had rarely seen such blatant, unapologetic arrogance wrapped in wealth. Victoria Ashford, a 42-year-old real estate magnate with a net worth of $47 million, entered Judge Judy Scheindlin's courtroom carrying herself with the kind of confidence only someone untouched by consequences could possess. Her perfectly styled blonde hair, fresh from a $600 salon visit that very morning, framed a face that projected entitlement and quiet disdain. She wore a cream-white Chanel suit valued at $12,000, diamond earrings worth more than most annual incomes, and a matching tennis bracelet that sparkled beneath the courtroom lights each time she gestured dismissively. Resting beside her was a limited-edition Hermes Birkin bag priced at $45,000, positioned almost like a symbol of her superiority. Every detail about Victoria signaled wealth, influence, and a deep-rooted belief that she was beyond reproach. She had walked into that courtroom on a Tuesday morning, convinced she would easily overpower the woman who dared bring a case against her. A housekeeper, in her eyes, someone insignificant who had overstepped her place. But within minutes, Victoria would say something so shockingly disrespectful that it would send a wave of disbelief through the room and mark her as one of the most despised figures to ever appear on national television. The turning point came suddenly. In the middle of a heated discussion over unpaid wages, Victoria lifted her perfectly manicured hand and pointed directly at Judge Judy Scheindlin, a woman known for dismantling entitled litigants for over 2 decades. Then, with chilling nonchalance, she spoke words that every camera in the courtroom captured clearly. "You obviously don't understand how wealthy people operate. Maybe if you had real money, Judge, you'd understand." The silence that followed was overwhelming. It wasn't just quiet. It was stunned, frozen disbelief. From the bailiff to the audience to the production crew, no one moved. No one had ever dared to question Judge Judy's intelligence and financial standing in the same breath. Judge Judy's eyes narrowed instantly, delivering a glare so intense it had reduced seasoned attorneys to panic on national television. Regular viewers recognized that look immediately. It was the warning sign of total destruction. Her hands folded calmly on the bench, her jaw tightened, and for 5 full seconds, she stared at Victoria with a controlled, piercing intensity that should have signaled disaster. But Victoria smiled. She genuinely believed she had made a point. What unfolded over the next 3 minutes would leave the entire courtroom in stunned silence and transform Victoria Ashford from a self-assured millionaire into a cautionary example shared across millions of screens worldwide. This was no ordinary small claims case. What was about to happen was a complete dismantling of a woman who had lived her entire life believing money could shield her from consequences, command respect, and excuse her behavior. From the moment Victoria stepped into the courtroom, Judge Judy had already begun building her case. Her questions, calm, precise, and seemingly routine, were laying the groundwork for something far more devastating. What she was about to reveal would expose a pattern of behavior that went far beyond a simple wage dispute. Victoria had filed a claim for $3,500, alleging unpaid damages and poor work performance by her former housekeeper. But that amount represented 2 weeks of wages. Money Victoria had withheld after issuing a check and then canceling it. At its core, this case was not about money. It was about power. It was about what happens when someone with wealth believes they are above the law and above basic human decency. Maria Santos, a 58-year-old immigrant housekeeper, sat quietly in the plaintiff's seat. Her hands, worn from decades of labor, gripped a folder filled with evidence, text messages, financial records, and most importantly, security footage that would prove the accusations against her were fabricated. She had spent the night before in prayer, fearing that her voice as a working-class immigrant would be drowned out by wealth and influence. She had no idea she was about to witness one of the most decisive courtroom moments ever televised. What Victoria didn't realize, what her arrogance prevented her from even considering, was that Judge Judy had not treated this as a routine case. The night before, she had gone further than usual. She reviewed sealed court documents, contacted former employers, and spoke with past household staff. What she uncovered painted a deeply troubling picture. There was a juvenile record involving credit card fraud, buried long ago by expensive legal intervention. There were statements from 6 former housekeepers, each describing eerily similar experiences, false accusations, withheld wages, and emotional manipulation. And there was footage, recorded by Victoria's own home security system, that showed the bracelet she claimed had been stolen had never left her bedroom. The case Judge Judy had assembled was airtight. Victoria's carefully constructed life of privilege was about to unravel. Publicly and irreversibly, Maria Santos had come to America 31 years earlier from a small village in Guatemala. With only $200, limited English, and determination, she built a life through hard work. Over 23 years, she earned a reputation among Beverly Hills households as dependable, honest, and exceptionally hardworking. Her hands told the story. Calloused, worn, and shaped by years of scrubbing, polishing, and maintaining homes far larger than anything she had ever owned. She had worked for producers, executives, and wealthy families, each one leaving glowing references. She was trusted not just with property, but with people's homes and, at times, their children. Through relentless effort, she put all three of her children through college. Her eldest became a nurse, her son a high school mathematics teacher, and her youngest was in her second year of medical school. Her reputation was everything, because in her profession, trust determined survival. 18 months earlier, Maria had been hired through a top-tier domestic staffing agency. Victoria offered $35 an hour to maintain her 12,000-square-foot Beverly Hills mansion. Initially, the job was manageable. Victoria traveled frequently, and Maria took pride in keeping the property immaculate. But gradually, things shifted. The expectations became unreasonable. Cleaning the entire mansion in half the standard time, using expensive, tightly controlled cleaning supplies, avoiding all interaction with the family, and working weekends without notice or additional pay. Maria endured it, needing the income and aware of how easily one complaint from a wealthy client could end her career. Then the accusations began. At first, small items, decor pieces, towels, office supplies, were reported missing. Each time, Maria denied any involvement. Each time the item would later be found. And each time there was no apology. The accusations escalated to expensive items, and always in front of guests. Victoria would publicly question Maria's integrity, while her friends looked on, offering sympathy and suggestions to fire her. Maria remained silent, knowing the consequences of defending herself too strongly. What she didn't initially understand was that this was intentional, a pattern, a method of control. The accusations became frequent, weekly, sometimes more, always public, always humiliating. The breaking point came one Saturday when Victoria demanded the entire mansion be cleaned for a same-day dinner party. Maria, exhausted after a 50-hour week, explained it wasn't feasible. Victoria's response was cold. "I pay you. That means I control your time." That was the moment Maria refused. "I am a human being, not your property," she said. "I've done my job well, but I won't accept this treatment anymore. I'm giving my 2 weeks' notice." Victoria's expression shifted instantly, from controlled politeness to visible anger. "You'll regret this," she said quietly. "No one will hire you when I'm finished." Maria completed her final 2 weeks professionally. On her last day, Victoria handed her a check for $3,500. Maria deposited it, relieved the situation was over. 3 days later, everything changed. Police arrived at her door at 7 a.m. Victoria had accused her of stealing a $15,000 Cartier bracelet. Maria denied it immediately. Officers searched her apartment, finding nothing. Later that same day, Maria discovered her bank account was overdrawn. Victoria had canceled the check. Bills had already been paid. Her rent had bounced. Her daughter's tuition payment failed. Within a week, Victoria contacted agencies, posted warnings, and spread allegations. Maria's work disappeared almost overnight. Long-term clients withdrew. New opportunities vanished. Her daughter had to leave medical school. Years of honest work were undone by a single lie backed by wealth and influence. Then came the lawsuit. Victoria sued Maria for $18,500, $15,000 for the bracelet, and $3,500 in claimed damages. It was the final step in a calculated effort to destroy her completely.